Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good everything to everybody out there in the world. How's it going? It is me, Brandon, and I'm here again for the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. We're back again for a new episode. Probably the best episode so far. But, I mean, they always keep getting better, so, you know, we only got one place to go, and that is up. I'm your host, Brandon, if I didn't say that already, and I am joined here today by the other members. They're not as good as me, but they're also very good at video games. We got Sap.
Yo, what's up?
That's okay. We got Will.
This is started off very combative, this whole episode, but I like it.
And we got Noah.
A little competitiveness goes a long way.
Well, we didn't play a competitive game this week on the Game Club. In fact, we played definitely a single-player experience. I think it actually it is multiplayer.
It does actually have multiplayer.
And it gives you a score, baby.
Oh my god.
But you know what else it gives you with the credits?
It gives you
your IQ score.
Because we played a little game called Intelligent Qube, also known as IQ Intelligent Qube. It is
real definition of IQ.
If you think you're smart, you should play this game because it tells you exactly how smart you are.
Yeah,
based on its own unique scoring. Noah picked this game. It's a PS1 game. It's Noah. Tell us a little bit about this game. Like, give me a little backstory. Why'd you pick this game exactly? You don't have to explain everything about the game. Just tell me why you picked it.
Well, it was one of those weird games that my brother had for the PS1 back when I was a kid. And as I just randomly stumbled across, I was like, this is very weird and not like anything else I really played on the PlayStation. So it stayed in my brain as a memory for the longest time. As like a very faint memory. I was like, this is one weird game that I played back then, and I just wanted to revisit it.
Fair enough.
Can I ask you a question?
See what it actually was and explore it deeper.
Can I ask you a question? Were you, because you lived in America and Europe, different stages of your life, were you living in Europe at the time when your brother played this game?
Yeah, I was in Greece. Yep, in Greece.
Now, this is funny because I looked this up because I was reading on the backstory of this game. This game did very well in Japan and Europe, and it did not do well in the US. So that makes sense why that was, you were in the position to enjoy this game. We were not, because we were over here being like, Lara Croft, she's got 3 polygons for her boobs. That's what we in America are focusing on.
Or Mario. I mean, I don't. Well, no, the PlayStation. I think, yeah, Nintendo. At that time, we were pretty excited about, for PlayStation at least, like Twisted Metal and Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot. But
Intelligent Qube didn't swear enough for us Americans. We needed a couple more
some
like,
explosions and some Duke Nukem and guns and bullets and all that stuff. Because
But this is not that.
We were edgy.
This is a puzzle game.
It's a puzzle game. Yeah. It's so it's for PS1. A puzzle game developed by Epix or G Artists. It was published by Sony Computer Entertainment. So Sony themselves, published this game. It's the first party game, even for the PlayStation. Came out way back out in 1997. This game came out, and
the year of our Lord.
And it's interesting. This game. So I think one of the first things I thought about with this game too was that it felt like a game that somebody had in their head and thought, well, now that games are moving into a 3D space, now I can make this game. Like,
do you want to hear a funny thing? That is actually 100% what happened. The whole idea was from one professor who Masahiko Sato was his name. I looked this up, and he taught game design at the Tokyo University of the Arts, and he thought, how can I make a 3D design, like a 3D work in a puzzle element? And he had the idea of raising up and dropping platforms as the sort of the core idea. And he built Intelligent Qube from there. So
that's
totally
exactly
right
that's the thing. That's the vibe I got. Was that okay? This felt like a game that's like experimental because it's okay. Games are in 3D now. We can do a game like this. So this, I definitely got that vibe from it. And the way the game works is your little character, you control this just a nameless dude.
Yeah, it's either a little guy, a little girl, or a dog. I chose the dog.
I didn't get those options.
I download maybe the thing that I played this on emulator. Sorry, everyone. Maybe the one I filed had it unlocked, but I played as a little doggy, and that was fun. Because when you would just sit there and watch it happen, the dog would sit down and he would like just watch, and you're like, cool dog.
Yeah. So you play as a character. You run around a platform made of cubes, and these cubes will like slowly approach you. Moving one cube at a time, and you mark a spot on the stage. And once a cube is on top of that spot, you activate it, and a cube will disappear. So that's the basic of it. And you're trying to clear all of the cubes before they fall off the stage, because there is an end. And there's a couple different cubes. There's the normal cubes that you just clear, and that's it. There's the forbidden cubes, which are black cubes, which if you get clear those on accident, you lose a line of cubes. So you behind you, so you have less space to work with before the cubes start falling off.
Yeah, so basically the level shrinks.
Yeah.
Which means you have less time to work.
Then you have advantage cubes. And if you clear an advantage cube, it marks a spot on the ground that you can trigger, and it will clear a 9x9 radius, or 3x3 if it's on the edge.
Or 3x3.
It's 3x3. Yeah, it is. Or it could be, it's 9 squares.
So it's 9 squares.
It will just clear all of that out. So it helps you a lot, but you also have to be careful with those because they can trigger other advantage cubes and give you, clear more spots on the ground. And also you might accidentally clear some forbidden cubes. And like I said, if you clear any forbidden cubes, you lose a row. And then also on the bottom of the screen, there's a small, kind of like a marker, and each stage you get a different number of. It's like a mistake marker. And if you make, if you lose that many either regular cubes or advantage cubes off the stage, those markers fill up. If you fill fill the bar all the way up, you lose another row. And if you get squashed, all the cubes will just run off the stage automatically, and then it will just tally up all the fuck ups you did, and that can be very bad. And so basically, you have to do
and if you perfect a way, which means you get all of the normal and the advantage cubes, you gain a row.
Yeah.
So it gives you more. So if you perform better, you have more wiggle room to mess up.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for the licks.
And you get a cool. Yeah, this is probably my favorite part of the game. Announcer goes perfect every time. That's probably my favorite thing in the whole game is that announcer guy.
The sound is wild in this game. The soundtrack is crazy.
Yeah, that's.
I know. I fucking love the soundtrack and the sound effects.
Sure. It sounds like something out of an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, it does. Sounds like Star Wars.
My first vibe was like, is this like a Kingdom Hearts orchestral thing happening right now? But like, you're right. Like it is. It's not like because you think of puzzle music, you think it's like boopity boop boop boop. This one's like weird, like kind of like
epic.
Yeah,
dramatic. Just
it even has
it's really wild.
Yeah, and it's like if you're
it even has sometimes it has like a chorus of people like in the background, like just singing and like it's crazy. The music is like way over the top.
Yeah. It is. It's like you never expect something like that in a puzzle game. It also gets like super intense when you're not doing well. Like it gets really like intense and dramatic. It's like dun dun dun. It's really good.
It's a game that throughout playing this, I was constantly imagining this, like this is what Catherine would feel like if Atlas just got rid of the entire story of that game.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot of cubes. They share the cubes in common.
They do share that. It's like a puzzle game.
The epic music. Yeah, it's epic music in the background. You have the announcer guy just talking mad shit or hyping you up. It feels like Catherine without any of the actual story.
Though it gets really weird. So you can pick speeds when you start, right? So things will go faster or lower. If you feel like you've got everything set up, you can accelerate the board. Right, sort of like when you drop in Tetris. If you beat the game, because I didn't, I got like about halfway through, and then I was like, this is getting real hard. Because with each new there are multiple levels, we should say. It's not like a Tetris where it just keeps going forever. But
it's like 9 levels in total.
With each level, they add like a more one row horizontally. So that means that that adds up pretty quickly. If you think about, like, instead of it being behind you, there's just a whole other more row of cubes to deal with.
Yeah.
But if you beat it on speed 4 or higher, there's a weird moment where all the blocks drop away except for the one your character's standing on, and then you hear this man say, "It was meant to be tested. Not to be put up against, but just to see." And, like, it's this weird, like, 2001 A Space Odyssey thing where the cube sinks into this field and there's just a whole sea of these cubes. Then it zooms out and you see that you're in some weird facility, and then it just goes, "Beginning of universe." And that is how it ends. And you're like, this is one guy had a weird idea, and to him, this is deep and impactful, but I am just lost. I don't know what's happening.
God, the origin story is just incredible good.
It's wild. I mean, it's like a thing that this would happen with indie games now, right? But this was like a CD in a case in a store, and I love that happened in the PS1 era. That was really cool.
Yeah, this is like a full-priced retail game.
I gotta say, if this was a full-price game, though, and I got it when I was a kid, I would have been real pissed.
Oh, I mean, probably.
People, like, I've been reading...
Would you, though? I mean, it takes a while to, like...
It's an interesting, neat game, right? But when I was a kid and, I wasn't... And I couldn't just buy any games, or even now, I guess, like, if I paid, like, a full $50 for this game, or $60, like, if I paid full price for this game and took it home and played it, I'd have been like, what?
Yeah, I mean,
in today's standards,
but even
back
then standards, I would have been
price.
because it's pretty short.
I've read.
Maybe.
It was. I mean, the game does encourage replayability, because when you do beat the game, there is a little high score that pops up, right? Or when you die, there's a little, you can put your name in, and like that, it'll note your intelligence and what your score was.
Yeah, I've read quite a bit of reviews.
Plus multiplayer,
because the reviews themselves also had like the same sentiment. Like, that was the main criticism of that game, whereas like it doesn't feel like a full priced game, and they wouldn't recommend it on the price tag alone, because there are other games out there that have a lot more content than what this game had. Like, a lot of reviews.
It could be like a phone game, or just like a couple hour indie game that could be like $10, that you wouldn't be mad about
on your Vita or on your 3DS. Yeah.
Oh, there is a mode that is cool when you beat the game, though. I think I downloaded a save with the ROM that I think people had beat it multiple times, because I just looked it up. The dog and the girl unlock after you beat the game a couple times. But once you can actually like make your own levels, make your own puzzles after you beat it. So that's, I mean, I don't know how you would share it besides having people come over and be like, look at my puzzles that I've made. But that's a weird thing I wouldn't think would be in this game until I saw original mode and I tried it and I was like, whoa. Because I guess it's worth saying it's not like you could like look up a walkthrough for this game and like know the answers, because it's randomized.
And so I beat it, and I had this weird like learning curve where I started playing the game, and I remember having an incredible amount of trouble on stage 2 specifically, and then having an incredible amount of trouble again on stage 5 where the difficulty started ramping up. But then when I did start to finally beat stage 5, the rest of the levels, like, it was like an avalanche of, I know how to play this game, like, real well now. Yeah. So the last like couple levels,
you saw
was
the
just
Matrix.
like, I was like zoned in, and I was just like, okay, I was just doing it, right? Like, even though they were challenging, like, it just clicked, and I knew like really how to play the game well and to use like every combo to my advantage to clear with the advantage cubes and everything.
A thing I actually really like, I mean, because it shows you like sort of, it helps you see through of like, oh, like I actually could be playing this better, is that every wave they have a little number up top that's like the optimal number of moves basically. Yeah, and like the fastest amount of turns or like cubes that turn over.
I was hitting those a couple of times. I was hitting those once I get in my stride.
Yeah, same.
And that's cool. I mean, I like that. Like, there would be times where I would just be just over, and I would kind of want to like go back and redo the level to like try to improve, right? Or like at least I was aware like, oh, if I do die and I start back, I can still improve on these early rounds to get more space to help ensure myself further down the line, which is cool. But yeah, it's neat. Like you were saying, oh, it's funny. I watched because I remember like when I first saw this, I thought, oh, like this reminds. I feel like I've seen this before. They did a speed run of it, SGDQ last year. And it was one where I watched it and I said, I don't know what's happening. And like now I went back and I looked at it. I was like, now I see what's happening because I've actually played this game. But the guy mentioned that there's a couple, I think it's 4 and 6. There are a couple of scenarios that are like out of the 100 that it pulls from for potential waves to hit. There's like 3 in each one that are just unsolvable, like to perfect. At least, and it's like, man, I don't know, that's pretty, I mean, like, at least I think he said that you could like survive if you like just want to work around, but you're guaranteed to lose rows. And I thought that's
kind of not fair.
Yeah, that's kind of not cool, but
that's not fair at all.
You know, probably won't encounter it odds wise because it's like a 3% chance, but I thought that was interesting to make note of.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. It was also funny because sometimes he would get under the optimal number, so like they would figure out ways to beat it before.
Yeah, I think I did that once. Yeah, it's you just really have to use those advantage cubes to clear out as many blocks as possible. There was a couple of times I was playing it though where I couldn't tell if it was just me, but I felt like the camera was getting like real janky, which is weird because it's like in one spot, but with your guy kind of moving back and forth really quick, it felt like the camera was getting really janky, like just like almost like motion sickness.
Did it kind of like shake a little bit for you?
Yeah, it was shaking a lot.
Yeah, that happened to me a couple times.
Yeah, and sometimes when I'm trying to like get into real tight spots running in between cubes, like I was like, oh, like it got hard. And some of the times they would kind of screw me over because I'd end up getting squished. Because the camera was just like, it was hurting my eyes almost.
Yeah, I switched the camera a bunch of times, like between the camera modes, even though they're pretty much similar. Like they were, I think camera 3 was like my.
I didn't even know there was other camera modes.
You can change like the camera and like the controls, which I thought was pretty crazy for a puzzle game, but that was in the options. I just like there is something. It's almost like a reverse Minesweeper, right? In a funny way, because like with Minesweeper, your whole thing is like don't hit the things. I do like there were some moments where, like you said, you would hit the green cubes, the advantage cubes, and it would be fun to just like see that chain reaction happen and just have it like go from you hitting like 1 to 2 blocks every rotation to like clearing 10 or 12 with one at once. And that was fun. And then, like you said, they sort of introduced like, oh, actually, sometimes you want to avoid those chain reactions. You want to be careful not to hit the advantage cubes. Or, I mean, not the forbidden cubes, excuse me. And so I like that. I like that. Like, it introduced, like, here's the fun part of, like, there being a little progression, like, with each wave that you hit. But also, there's a trade-off to that, right? So you're not always just trying to hit the advantage cubes every time.
No, yeah, because I was making that mistake early on where I'd just try to activate all the advantage cubes, but then I'd get myself into situations where, oh no, well, if I activate all of these ones that I have going at once, I'm gonna end up screwing myself over and hitting all the forbidden cubes. Or if I wait...
so you end up wasting...
if I wait, I end up wasting the ones I hit earlier. So my plan was to just activate one and then wait till it gets in the perfect spot and then clear it. You know, and while I'm waiting, clearing out other blocks along the way and setting myself up for the next one to be ready as soon as that one's done. You know, it's a good strategy. It was a fun puzzle game, but it was kind of short. Like I kind of wish there was more. Even Puzzle Editor doesn't really do much for me. Because I'd rather have more puzzles from the game creators themselves. And it's not as addicting as like Tetris, right? Like I wouldn't see myself like continuing to play. Like once I just beat all the levels, I was like, okay. Like Tetris, I could probably play like endless, like forever.
I think I'm on the exact opposite end of you at this spectrum because like I didn't feel as though it could have been longer, but I guess then again I'm not that good with puzzle games, So I just wanted it to be over as quickly as possible. So I guess that's the situation with mine. But
Yeah.
it felt long enough for me. How many stages are there? Because I only go up to like stage 7.
9.
9.
There's 9, yeah.
Shit.
You got to stage 7, wow, Seth.
You're
Good
almost
job.
there.
Holy shit, man.
It's,
It starts ramping up at stage 5.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because, like, and the speeds really do play a big factor. Because, like, I did, like, the first 2 stages at 0 and at 4. And it's like Tetris, right? Where there's a big jump well, I mean, it's funny because there's like a big drop off in how long a run will take, right? Because like I imagine that eventually, if this becomes a high score based game, you focus on going in with a high speed and then trying to beat it as fast as possible. And like if you have it at the highest speed, it could probably be in under an hour before you beat the game, right? Like if you're accelerating a whole lot, if you're like trying to aim for that. But like for me, it took me like an hour to get to level 5, right? So like and that was without me dying a whole lot. So it is funny that there is, like, very rarely do you have a thing where in the design of the game, you have what could take, like, 3 times as long or in one speed versus another, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I was a baby. I was a dumb baby, and I was like, give me 0. I want to, give me time to think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're speeding it up, you kind of screw yourself over if you're holding the button down for too long. Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched like a minute of the world record run for this game, and I mean, you could assume this. Just it's accelerating constantly, right? Like you just can't see, which is very funny. Like basically, it's as a person that like I was like, oh, I'm starting to get the hang of this, starting to like understand what you're doing and like why these people, you know, where you would place and why you would place. I watched that and I said, nope, I don't understand. Actually, in fact, I am simply an idiot. This guy is planning 20 moves ahead. It's like a chess master versus a guy that's playing checkers, basically.
Oh my god, I could not. A couple interesting things to note too is that there was actually a couple sequels to this game that came out.
Mm-hmm.
There was a second one for the PlayStation 2 that I don't think ever came out in America. I think it kind of flopped.
Yeah, I think it stayed in Japan.
It flopped in America, and also there was one IQ Mania came out for the PSP. So there was IQ Final, IQ Remix Plus, and IQ Mania. And IQ Mania was kind of just took puzzles from all 3 games and kind of put them together.
Yeah. I went to look to see if I could get this on the PS3 store. Right, because they had the PS1 classics on there. It is on the PSN store, but only for Japan and Europe, which I mean makes sense considering the original release was popular in Japan and Europe. But it was a bummer. I would have liked to have played it straight up on my TV, but it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would have done the same thing if I could have, but couldn't.
Yeah.
So.
They don't want us to play it. They're scared.
Stupid Americans. That's what they were thinking.
This is the new Super Mario Brothers 2 of puzzle games. Not new
Super Mario Brothers 2 of puzzle games.
Lost levels.
I mean, we got it. We didn't get it. Just didn't sell. Yeah.
It took a while.
So, does anybody else have anything to add about this game? Any experiences they had with it that they just want to add before we get on to the next segment?
Yo, even if you don't want to play this game, go on YouTube and look up the soundtrack and just imagine, like...
Oh, yeah, I got, like, the guy saying perfect as, like, a notification on my phone.
That's really good. Like, just listen to that.
And, like, I downloaded some of the soundtracks as well. It's like,
That's
just caught me off guard. That's how good it is.
The best part about this game, for sure. The sound. When I first started the game, I thought, is something wrong? Did I download a wrong thing? Like, the soundtrack, it sounds like they put the soundtrack from another game on this. And then I looked up a video, and it was like, nope, this is the correct soundtrack. And I was like, yo, this is nuts. I really like this. So I like that. You know, we didn't really mention this either. Where the graphics, it's very simple. I guess I would have liked to see more color, personally.
Sure. I mean, they're going for a look, I think. I think they're going for like this weird, like clinical look to it. It's like a res sort of thing, I think, where like intentionally polygonal, intentionally looking like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird because like you can't say it's aged poorly because I don't think it was trying to be a looker at the time, but like it is a
there's a couple
thing,
color changes
for
with
better or
the
worse.
main set of blocks in each stage. They reuse the same colors a couple of times too, but overall I would have liked to see a little bit more color just in general. The background's always just a pure black. Like maybe if they made some, space in the background, some stars or some voids or something, not that, I don't think it would be distracting either. I think it would have just made it look prettier.
Yeah, just a little something, right? Because I think that like the music does differentiate between levels, and I think that's cool. I think it does help alleviate sort of repetition, and I think varying the visuals, even while keeping to that style, would be nice.
Well, if you guys don't have anything else to add here, we're gonna move on to the ever important list. Putting it on the list.
Oh,
So this is it's going to be interesting where we're going to put it. And because Noah picked this game, Noah's going to get the first say of where he thinks it's going to go on the list. Or where it belongs on the list.
I'm looking to around like the 30 area. Like maybe above Dragon Ball Z? Yeah. I think I like it to put it there.
So that'd be 29.
Number 29, yeah.
Below Shadow Memories, but above Live Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku 2.
Yeah.
Still a mouthful, that title.
But like in that, yeah, I'm looking at that area in general. I wouldn't put it any higher than that.
I was thinking of putting it like below East, but that might just be me because I think I liked East more than you guys did.
I actually was thinking of putting it around there too, like maybe even below Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because like it and the Simpsons Arcade are similar in that they are very simple, short experiences, right? And like The Simpsons has a whole lot of like flavor and flair to it. It's look, right? This game has but like the gameplay is pretty basic. This almost has the exact opposite, where like a sort of very bare bones sort of aesthetic and presentation, but I think the gameplay itself is more fun and ingenious, right? I think that like it is worth saying that there's not a lot of puzzle games that tried something like this or like have successfully replicated it, which I think is a statement on it being hard to execute, which is impressive.
It definitely offers like a unique experience as well.
Yeah.
What about you, Seth? What do you think?
I don't know. I've been trying to think about it like as you're talking. I don't want my own personal bias like get in the way with it. Get in the way of making a fair decision because I'm not too fond of puzzle games. Like I feel so that's way too hard for me. Even though apparently stage 7 is good enough for fucking playing.
You're pretty far in.
Well, take a step back and look at it from a different perspective, like overall as a package.
Yeah. And also, I mean, at the end of the day, this list is our opinion as a group. So your personal bias towards something, it's not necessarily, you can't weigh that into your own opinion because it's our opinions.
Yeah, it's like not automatically
if you don't like puzzle
valid.
games, you don't like puzzle games. So...
Yeah, but then it just goes against the entire principle that I was trying to keep on the list. It's like I just need to be as objective as possible.
That's fair, but
shit, man. I want to put it below Simpsons Arcade, but because I've had more fun with Simpsons Arcade. But then again, what if you enjoy puzzle games? So you God damn it. For now, I want to put it below Simpsons Arcade because it's like. I think Simpsons Arcade has a much broader appeal at the very least. And it's... with playing it in more today's times, I think you'll have more joy out of Simpsons Arcade than I would out of this game. This game, as simplistic and as intuitive as it is, like, it doesn't do anything new. Like, it's the same gimmick throughout all 7 stages that I've played, and I'm willing to bet it's the exact same shit. There's nothing different there. It's just that you're trying to solve these puzzles. The only difference is like the type of puzzles, like the blocks are arranged differently. That's all it is. The blocks are arranged differently, or just one more route added to the blocks that you need to get rid of. So there's no variety in that respect. And again, it could be feeling that long because I suck at the game, and that's why it's just fucking whatever. But I feel as though, like, if you're not gonna be that diverse, then at least like Simpsons Arcade does go in a long way of like keeping itself short and concise in regards to that aspect of this.
I think Saf, that was probably the one of your best points that you've made in a very like in all the game club things I've heard. Like, I was like, I was just agreeing. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think that was a very well thought out statement.
It's a solid. Yeah, it was a solid point.
If I were made to make a case for Intelligent Qube, though, I would say that I think the enjoyment of me seeing The Simpsons Arcade I could get from watching a YouTube video of it, right?
I mean, yeah, it is incredibly short as well. It's like a 20 minute.
That, like,
you can beat it in like 20 minutes.
And like the Simpsons Arcade game, like also like I was doing basically the same thing from beginning to end. They just added in more annoying bosses that were coin munchers along the way, right? Like here's just Smithers just throwing out random bombs that like there's no telegraphing for. There was never, and so like there were moments of frustration there. I did not have that many moments of frustration with Intelligent Qube, and I generally felt like more of a, I mean, I didn't make it as far as Saf did, so maybe that'll come in the later levels. But like, I generally felt a progression of like understanding and comprehending that is a hallmark of a puzzle genre, and I think I liked that more out of it. But Saf makes fair points.
I felt some moments of frustration playing the game.
I mean,
it was in the process of me learning how to play the game, but there was a couple times where I felt kind of cheated. With the camera being a little shaky and me getting squished and just there was a few moments.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but there's also like moments of gratification when you actually get past like the really challenging bits. Like, yeah, I fucking did it. Especially when you landed on a perfect on like one of the harder levels. It's like you land the perfect, or like the thing that we mentioned where you can do it in like the minimum amount of turns. Like, being able to do that, like, once in a while, just, like, feels really fucking good and satisfying.
Yeah. I mean, it was strange because I think I played the Simpsons Arcade game to see what was around the next corner, like, oh, what's going to be the next level? What's going to be the next character that I'm going to see? Whereas, like, I played Intelligent Qube more so for, like, the progression of me understanding, right? Which is, like, so, like, and, like, in that moment, being like, what can I do here and here? And, like, because there's nothing else to the game, it is clearly just that. And so I think that I like that more out of Intelligent Qube than I did the thing out of The Simpsons, but it's hard because it is apples to oranges a little bit.
What a good show on YouTube.
I'd be willing. I'd be willing to move it just below Yeast if that's the case.
See, now Saf though has made good points, and now I'm leaning towards putting it under the Simpsons Arcade game. Because I mean, when I look at it, and if objectively from my end point, what would I rather play? Would I rather stand around an arcade cabinet with 3 of my buddies and play a fun beat 'em up for a half an hour, or play this? This was a fun game, but like I would never go back to it. But I would constantly go back to the Simpsons Arcade game, like going to an arcade and playing that game. I don't know.
See, I feel the opposite.
Yeah.
It's probably because I have a bias. Well, not really a bias, but I'm more familiar and have memories of Intelligent Qube, and you have, like, you're very fond of The Simpsons as well, so that's influencing your decision as well a little bit.
Sure.
So it's like...
But also, I mean, the Simpsons Arcade is, like, it's one of the first licensed games ever that just really did an incredible job of representing its license. And... there's just a lot of really cool things about it with It's the graphics are really cool for the time. There's a lot of Easter eggs in there. It's it's really it's simple, but it's really fun.
It's very creative. Like I remember
but like all the good. I mean, this sounds harsh, I guess, but like a lot of the good traits of the Simpsons arcade game are in service of what was one of the best shows on TV, right? Like, so like it just in some ways. I mean, obviously this isn't true because there's Simpsons games that are bad, but like being faithful representations of this other piece of medium, right? This other piece of media, the actual proper show is like, I like it, I respect it, but I think I might respect I have this idea for a puzzle, I'm going to make this work, and I think a generally fun idea for like a puzzle, I think I like more.
I might have made the exact opposite point because we talked about this when we were talking about Simpsons Arcade, but it's creative beyond the service of it being the service of the show. Like, remember the point where it's like, if you're standing around doing nothing for the longest time, and the hand arrow is just pointing in one direction, and then if you wait long enough, the arrow just ends up kicking you across the screen? Like, shit like that. It's like, it's got more imagination, it's got more creativity in respect to that type of issue. The most creative that this game has is, like, you could either be a girl or a dog.
No, I mean the idea of the Qube, of like, here you're on this platform, it disappears or builds as you play. You play essentially these mines that like will then eat, like you're laying moves way ahead of when they will get there. I think that type of stuff, in terms of making a puzzle, in terms of making a type of game, was wholly unique, and I think they executed it well, which I think is very hard.
I think they executed it well too. But I said at the beginning, and I still feel this way, almost like it was kind of like a tech demo in a weird way, where they're like, oh, we're in 3D now, so let's do this because we can do it. But it didn't feel like, it was just simple. Like, it didn't feel like it was, like a fully fleshed out idea.
It's not as good as Tetris, obviously, right? Tetris
it's not as addicting, yeah.
But like, it's sort of the nature of puzzle games in a lot of ways, right? Especially a game like this where it's a score-based, like, that type of thing. Maybe there would be ways to differentiate that I can't think of off the top of my head, but I wouldn't strike it too much against it for it being a score-based multiple run type of game. But like Galaga's very simple in that what it is, like Simpsons is essentially that too.
Galaga on the list, and I'm not willing to discuss Galaga on this list if you don't have it on this list.
No, what I'm saying is for this type of game, that is the nature of the beast, right? Like, especially in the first entry, like Tetris on the Game Boy is that, right? Like, this has that core game mode. I don't think it's as fun, but I think it is. I enjoyed it more as a game, which I guess is the thing it comes down to. But are we willing to compromise and put it below Crash Bandicoot?
Uh,
I know Simpsons is the actual sticking point, so it's like a weird offer, but
this is a tough one.
It is a tough one.
That's like where I was leaning, but then Saf made real good points in terms of the Simpsons arcade.
Because shit, I mean, I guess.
And like, it's hard for me
yeah,
too.
You gotta give it.
Because I mean, you could say the exact same things. Like, even though this is a beat 'em up, it has done co-op really well. In beat 'em ups, like, your team attacks are pretty fun. So it's like, it's really like.
I mean, it was building off the foundation.
But it's like, that's the thing. Like, when that game came out, there were like a shit ton of beat 'em ups
that did it better.
Whereas like Intelligent Qube came out, it was like extremely unique in that position where there were hardly any puzzle games for the PlayStation 1.
And there were no puzzle games that were like this, like there was none that were this.
Yeah, but
system.
even this system, I feel like this system, I guess maybe you think it's better than I do, because to me, I think it's interesting, but it's not, like, it didn't blow my mind. Like, I was like, okay, this is cool, but like, it wasn't as addicting as for a puzzle game. To me, has to be like addicting for it to be a really good puzzle game. And like, I want to do the endless modes. I want to do the extra puzzle modes. I want to play it competitively so you can get the highest score. Like, Tetris does that perfect. And, Tetris Attack, or even Puyo Pop, or Bubble Bobble. There's like I could keep going for puzzle games that I think are better.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think there are beat 'em ups that are better.
Oh yeah, no, there is.
Right, where like,
sure, of course,
I mean, like,
Streets of Rage, Ninja Turtles. You know, it's you can keep going on and on. That's I mean, Simpsons is near the end of the list, so
yeah, I don't know, like, yeah. I think it's just like sitting down and like making a unique way to present a puzzle is very difficult, and I think that's why because like I've sat down before and be like, how can you make a puzzle game? Because I play a lot of Tetris, and I think how do they go about making Tetris? And it's like, man, it's very hard. Like it's just genuinely very hard. And I like that this was just one guy being like, here's how I can try the 3D space to make a puzzle. But like you said, I don't think it is like the greatest of all time, but that stuff I like about it's why I would put it above Simpsons. But I mean, we probably need to I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
I guess I'm willing to move it down, but like put it close, right? Like we've heard the deliberations on why I like Intelligent Qube.
Yeah.
And we're getting a little long in the tooth, so I think I might be willing to put it below Simpsons Arcade.
I mean,
Compromise.
Well, it's hard because it's hard because there's like I think Saf did make valid points like along the way. Like I think the Simpsons Arcade, when we talked about it, I was positive on it. Like I guess it's just with time they have had diminishing returns in my brain of like the things that were cool and unique about it. Like there's just the general impression of like, oh, like they did a good rendition of The Simpsons, right? Like, and that was my general takeaway. Where I think that like as much as this game has its faults in like 7 to 8 months, if you ask me to like draw you a picture of Intelligent Qube and like describe it, I think I could be able to do that pretty easily. There's The Simpsons, there's the Dream one and The Simpsons, and that's cool. And then like I don't remember much about the one where you're like in the nature park. Like I don't know. But maybe it's just a recency bias. But like I said, I'm willing to put it below The Simpsons Arcade.
Okay.
This is so intense for just what is pretty
there
much
you
the
go.
bottom of the list.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, this is
it's like, but it
have
didn't
this
hit like
discussion.
because we established this. I think like a week or two ago, where like there's like this entry point of like good games, and like The Simpsons Arcade was like the gatekeeper for that. Like,
Yeah.
no, it is
I
a
think
good
this is a
game.
good game.
So like this will be like the
Yeah.
new gatekeeper
That is a good game.
because
Yeah.
underneath it are games that I don't really consider good.
Donkey Konga.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard for like the six. I mean, this is weird because like the 6 and 7s of the world are the ones where you will argue.
Yeah.
You know, where like someone will be like, I saw a thing that I really liked in this thing, but I didn't see in this thing. You know, like because that's when you get like to the 7s out of 10s. That's where like what you personally are tuned to.
That's
really
where
comes out,
that
you
is
know?
definitely where the real
Like if it's
real conversations and arguments start happening. I guess when you comparing a 9 to a 9 too, it could happen, but like
like Noah and I probably have a preference
Yeah.
for puzzle games. And Brandon and Saf probably have a preference more for The Simpsons
for
and
not
for not
puzzle.
puzzle games.
I mean, I
Saf's
like puzzle games still, but like to me, it's not
Yeah.
like it's not an addicting puzzle game, and for me, that's like the main thing I look for in a puzzle game. It's always
The trait, sure. Yeah. But there it is. Number 34 on the list?
No,
then?
30. Yeah, 34. Yeah,
34. IQ.
or
Intelligent
intelligent cube.
One of the longer conversations we've
a
had
list
on the
placement.
Game Club about list placement.
I wasn't expecting it to be
It was
that
a good conversation, though. I enjoyed that. So let's recap. In case you were. We mentioned a couple of them, but we'll recap the games around it. Number 32, we got Crash Bandicoot. Number 33, The Simpsons Arcade. Another Game Club game that you can go ahead and take a listen to that episode. Number 34 is IQ Intelligent Qube. Number 35, and this is where we start getting into the bad games. We got Donkey Konga, which I guess could be a good game if you're into that, but it's not that great. And also we got 36. We got Metroid Other M, which I'm.
which is a good game, but other people tend to think otherwise.
It's a pretty decent game.
We don't want another argument.
It's a point of
We don't
contention.
want another argument.
Yeah, that's not why we're here today. But we're here today to talk about this game right here. I think we did a fine job. It was really fun to talk about this game. Thank you, Noah, for picking it. Once again, you pick a very unique PS1 game. It's like this is your thing. You're the Saf's the Game Boy Advance man, and you're the PS1 man. You're the I'm the
what the fuck kind of game is
this? Yeah.
Weird European like cult hits is Noah's territory.
So
very much.
Thank you guys. Before we go, we got a couple things we just got to mention here. We are on social media, the Jump Up Supercast, Jump Up Supercast Game Club. We are part of the Jump Up Supercast podcast channel. You can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, anywhere you listen to your podcasts, any RSS feed. You could find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram for social media to keep updates for episodes when they go up. We upload once a week. Game Club is every 2 weeks. We come together and we play a different game. We talk about it, just like we did right here. So next week, though, we're all playing the same game again. We recently did Mario Tennis Aces right before this because we were almost all playing it. So it just so happens that another game came out that we're all playing, and that is, if you have been listening to the podcast, we talked about it a little bit, but we're going to go more in depth. Octopath Traveler. So, we're all playing it, so, we might as well. Couple weeks here. Get a couple more, weeks. I think the game's been out for, just over a week? Yeah, so, we'll get a couple more weeks under our belt. Maybe we'll have it finished by then. Maybe not. It's an RPG, so you never know. they can run pretty long. So, we're going to talk about how we feel about Octopath. We're going to put it on the list. So we're going to have a new game on the list that's going to be fresh in our minds that I'm sure we'll regret where we put it in a couple months. So.
It's
a guarantee.
It's a little teaser spoiler for when it eventually gets added to the list. I think we're going to have some heavy discussions about this because I have a feeling it's going to be like pretty near the top.
We'll see, though. We'll see.
We're still in the early stages.
Yeah, I mean, I've played the game for about 25 hours now, and I still feel like I'm scratching the surface. So, yeah, we'll. Yeah, I know, right?
RPGs are weird, man. Like, imagine you're watching a TV show and you're like, I'm 25 hours in, don't know what's happening yet.
You're watching a movie. I'm watching a movie. I'm 25 hours into this movie, but I think I'm scratching the surface of the story building here. Yeah, video games are wild, man, especially RPGs. But that's it for the Game Club this week. Thanks for joining us, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys being here. Noah, Saf, and Will. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys in a couple weeks. Thanks for listening. Go out there, play some video games, and just have a fun time.